How's it going, everyone? David Nelson Films here with another video, you could say. And I said that I was going to upload every Thursday, but didn't really work out, so I'll just be uploading whenever. I don't know. In this video, I'm going to actually be talking about a project of mine that I try to make in 2019-2020. This project was called Blood of the Innocent. Would have been my first horror film that I would have made. Before the fall of 2019, I had never been a big fan of horror films. I thought they were all the same, just kind of boring slasher films where it's like nothing significant happens, and it's just running around the whole movie. But then I watched a couple films that really influenced me going forward, especially The Exorcist and The Omen. Those two horror films are probably one of the best I've seen. It really focused on ideas and concepts that were truly scary, and those really drove the story forward, as opposed to just a guy in a mask running around with a knife. That really after watching The Exorcist especially, I did read the book too. I might do a film and book comparison one day, which would be interesting. Wanted to do a film like that. Another influence that really got me thinking about horror was films centered on monsters. I mean Universal and Hammer horror, where they would focus on Dracula or Frankenstein's creature. And I think those two sides of horror are the best. The monster films and those films that kind of deal with those dark ideas in Exorcist and Omen. I started writing Blood of the Innocent as a Hammer horror style film, where it's a bit of a murder mystery, but also had a Dr. Frankenstein like character as the lead. And then after watching those two films, I kind of combined all those ideas to make a exorcism/murder mystery film. It would have been interesting to see how it all turned out. I mean, there was several ideas that were meshed together. Maybe they would have worked better separately, but who knows. So anyways, I started writing the script for Blood of the Innocent in November. No, it had to be in September. And then I finished it in November, I believe. So the film would be centered around a character called Dr. Vincent Thorne, who was very much like Frankenstein, in which he's obsessed with his experiments. This film would be about the Proterbrum, which I took from Latin, just a bunch of words, syllables, smashed them all together, which I translated into the Book of the Mind. Inside the Book of the Mind, there's a demon inside which has the ability to influence people's thoughts to gain what it wants. So, crazy idea. That's where the murder mystery comes in, where somebody is killed, and what I thought would be interesting is that there's no seeable evidence of the kill being done by any living person. It just doesn't make sense at all for somebody to actually kill the person. I'm not going to say too much about the plot itself. I might do something with it later. We did try to get an audio drama off the ground for the radio show that I co-host, but I'm not sure how that's going to turn out, so we'll see. So anyways, I wrote out the script, and at the time I was pretty excited for it, pretty proud of it. The main problem with that is it had a big cast. Obviously when you have a murder mystery, it has to have a decent sized cast, because you got to have the detective, you have to have the witnesses and the murderer in there somewhere. And in this film, where I combined the Exorcist elements in there, where I had myself as the priest, so it's like just a big cast. And obviously when you're an amateur filmmaker, independent, on top of that also a student too, schedules will never work out as planned. The schedules never line up. You're lucky to film just one day, and then maybe that scene will go well. Who knows? I really learned my lesson while making the film of kind of dialing back in terms of how many people should be acting in the film. Because if you have too many, then it becomes too difficult to coordinate. Even if you planned out weeks ahead, anything could happen. And an analogy I like to use is the house of cards, where it's like you have everything lined up, and then one person says they can't make it, it all comes crashing down. I've had that happen several times. So we did start filming in late November, early December. For a couple months, I never got that much progress into the film. It was just all smaller scenes. I was kind of tippy-toeing around like the scenes where it like had all the cast members in there, because it's just so difficult to film. We would be lucky to get those scenes done. We filmed for a few months. The project stalled in January, February. Not too much progress was made, but I was filming like at least once every 2 to 3 weeks. So there was a little progress being made, but it was mostly stuck in the mud. And then obviously COVID happened, and the funny thing is, before everything closed down, I spent a few hours writing this intense schedule, really breaking down like the hours and time in which everything would work out, and then ultimately it never. I wasted my time doing that. So I originally planned to keep filming in the fall of 2020, but then I kind of realized that I was overreaching for the project, and in order for the project to be fully realized up to its full potential, it would have to be filmed several years later, when I had more resources and the locations looked right. Because if I filmed it with the resources that I had, then it would just be a disservice to the scripts that I had written, and it just looked better on the page than it did on the screen. And also kind of had the realization of not going too heavy into those big idea projects, and kind of just focus on like projects that would be attainable and believable with the resources that I had. So it was a bit of a lesson for me. But it's also kind of disappointing, because I got all these crazy ideas that I have to wait to do. In the end, at the end of February, I had 18 minutes of footage, and I didn't really know what to do with that footage. I couldn't really do anything with it. It's very incomplete if it was all strung together. Just a bunch of holes. It's like I couldn't really make like even a short film out of that footage. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna show 2 of the scenes that we shot at the end of this video, and I really hope you guys enjoy. And it's really too bad that it wasn't part of the overall film. It's kind of out of context, but I do want to show those 2 scenes. And if you guys want to see a couple more, I'd be happy to show what I have left. But I do think the 2 scenes that I'm about to show are probably the best of the bunch that we got. So I hope you enjoy.
I'll simplify it for you. Goldstone. The Partabrum was responsible.
That book?
Yeah, that book. Translated into English, the Book of the Mind.
That's easily the stupidest thing I've heard in a while. People don't die from reading books, okay? I've been in this business a long time. The worst thing a book can give you is a paper cut.
Will you let me finish?
Sure, I could use some entertainment.
The Partibrum was created in the Dark Ages, the medieval times. Perhaps satanic worshippers were involved. No one really knows. It disappeared for 600 years, but was recently rediscovered in an archaeological dig in Iraq. I was fortunate enough to get my hands on it through my friends at the Institute.
What is this book supposed to do exactly?
This book contains the secret of the mind itself. How to control it, stimulate it, even destroy it. Those who used the book were gifted with intense knowledge and brain memory. However, I believe that there is some sort of spirit or demon inside of it. Mr. Berger must have read some passages that awoke the demon from some sort of deep slumber. It's been gaining power ever since his death. I believe that direct physical contact with the book strengthens it.
How does this explain the deaths of those men, though?
Well, the demon in this book has a strong influence on the mind. So it's logical to assume that it's a mind spirit of some kind. Could have inhabited their mind and killed them in a seemingly natural way. It's a shame. I'd originally intended on using this book for a new experiment.
What did you hope to do with it?
Usually the brain is mostly dormant, and the average man only uses about 15 to 20% of it at once. If successful, I had hoped to use the Partibrum in order to enhance the brain, use every muscle in it. It would have benefited mankind, helped us in ways that neither of us can understand. Now you see why I care about the outcome of this situation. What transpired never should have happened. And I fear the worst is yet to come. But I don't think a simple disposal of this book is going to solve this demon issue.
Well, this has been a very fun 10 minutes. Gotta get back to work.
Why don't you believe me? I've explained it to you in the easiest and most simple way I can.
I'll admit it, Doctor, you almost had me convinced there for a second. You put on quite the show.
What's that supposed to mean?
You're not gonna get away with these killings, you bastard. You're doing your best to cover it up, but I see right through you.
You have no evidence.
I'll find it, and you'll be wearing orange in no time.
How can I help you, gentlemen?
Father, do you have a minute? You are Father Hayden Matheson, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
I'm Detective Goldstone, and this is Dr. Thorne. Is there somewhere more private we can talk, Father? Can I assume that you've heard about the murders that happened recently?
Yes, I have. Quite unfortunate. May God guide them to the light.
Yeah, we're gonna need all the help we can get from him, because what we're about to tell you is pretty unsettling.
Go on, my son.
One of my guests, Caitlin, was possessed by a demon who was responsible for the death of 4 people. We need you to perform an exorcism.
According to my resources, you were once a student to Professor Marin Wood, who was, I guess, the last priest to ever perform one of these exorcisms.
How do you know this?
We called several churches to find out about your extensive knowledge about the act. Are we wrong?
No, you're right. I do know about the act of exorcism. I've never done it myself, but I've studied it ever since I was ordained at the seminary.
So you'll help us.
It's not that simple. The time and the amount of preparation that it takes is an exhausting process. So is the act itself. Another fact is that this woman may not even be possessed at all. She might have gone insane or have some sort of mental disability.
Go visit her if you don't believe our story. See for yourself that she's possessed.